Hey guys, welcome back. It is the preview for the Saturday games of round 2 of the Trans Tasman competition. It has been good so far. The Australian teams not winning anything so far, but some of these teams have really pushed the New Zealand team so far. Let's quickly have a look at the first game, which is the Blues versus the Waratahs. There's a couple of changes for both sides. The Waratahs only one change. The Blues are three changes to their side, which really upgrades their side quite a bit. In the front row already, they welcome back All Black with Tuunga Fassi from the bench into the starting team. Tunya Kwafe and then Tuunga Fassi, that's just such a strong front row. They will be looking to dominate the Waratahs. The Waratahs actually have a good front row. They have been doing well most of the season. Last week, actually doing pretty well against the Hurricanes, Harry Johnson, Holmes and Bell. The two hookers are Purecki versus Eklund. Then in the second rows, we have Sinclair and Douglas. They have been the partnership for the Waratahs this whole season. That's against Kauli Tuioti and Goodhue. The Blues, they welcome back Tuipulotu as well. He's on the bench, so they can't wait to have him back. Because since he's been injured, their line-out has probably been a bit weaker. The Waratahs, they can actually challenge at the line-out time actually as well. Because these guys are making a bit of a combination. A guy like Swinton can also get up in the air. But the Blues, they also have a guy like Tom Robinson, who is also a jumper in the air. Tom Robinson at number 6 being the captain for the side against Swinton. Both of them hard blokes on the field. Swinton being a guy that sometimes is in the wrong side of discipline. Sometimes it gets a couple of cards, but he really is the guy that pushes the limits of the other team. Robinson sometimes gets a couple of tries for himself. It's difficult to sum him up, but just a workhorse on the park. Blake Gibson, he comes in at number 7 up against Gamble. Harris at number 8. Then I'm so happy to see Akira Ioane finally getting a start again with the Blues, and that's to rest Tutu for a change for the Blues. Akira Ioane, he's in at number 8. Probably one of the best loose forwards in the world at the moment, in my opinion. He's such a quick guy as well. When he grabs that ball, anything could happen. He runs like a center slash winger when he gets it. So I think he is that X factor kind of player that you can look for at this game. Then it is Jake Gordon, the captain for the Waratahs in this one against Christie. Gordon, he had a good game again last week. Again against a Blues team like this, you can look out for him. Ben Donaldson, the youngster, is up against Otere Black, who's managed the side pretty well, and nothing spectacular from him. In the 12s, TJ Fayane, he continues. So happy he is getting more starts because they went with Plummer most of the season, and you can see what Fayane brings to their side. The option between running straight, getting a pop out wide, or actually getting a couple of kicks through as well, which he did last week. Rico Ioane, the quick number 13, out for them. He can sprint through for any try any day of the week. The only problem with him sometimes is the ball doesn't go further than that. He is kind of a sticky fingers number 13. Foketi at number 12 and Parisi at number 13. Just because the Waratahs have been doing badly doesn't mean all their combinations haven't worked. That combination, very good. Probably one of the best centre pairings at the moment in Super Rugby. They just play off of each other so well. Foketi, that's just a very good distributor. Parisi just loves running it straight and challenging the line. Then Turner comes in at number 11. Newsom at number 14. They are facing AJ Lamb and him. At number 15, Jack Maddox. He probably scored one of the best tries we'll see in this Trans Tasman competition last week. That last try for the Waratahs. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's very, very good. I probably ran like 80 meters for that try, the whole team together. Sullivan, he's at number 15 for the Blues. The two benches, the Blues, they have a very strong bench up against the Waratahs. Vakena, Hodgman, and then Renata. Strong front row to bring on, especially with Hodgman and Renata. Also two very strong scrummages. Both of them could have started if they wanted to. Faulkner, or Tetera Faulkner at number 17. Breen at number 18. Other guys to look out for the Waratahs. They go with a 6-2 split. So that could be a strong ending for them. They will be targeting to win the game up front with Waiton, Dempsey, and Intezano. Dempsey and Tizano, both of them can add a lot to the front pack, especially with Tizano being a tackling machine. Dempsey, he can run at anyone in this game. Then we get to the Blues. Their bench is just as strong, actually stronger in my opinion. Tuipulotu, the captain, is back for their team after a long absenteeism from him of being injured. Papali'i, the breakdown king, is also back expect him to run down the wing as well. Sam Knock, the quick number 9, Plummer, and then a guy that I'm not even going to challenge going for that surname at number 23. Guys, going for a prediction here, I do think the Blues are favourites here. The Waratahs haven't won in Auckland since 2009, so I think history-wise it's going to continue the Blues to win this one by 21 points. Let me know your prediction down in the comments below. And let's move on to the next game, which is the Chiefs versus the Brumbies. Both of them, the teams that got second place in their respective competitions, the Aotearoa and then the AU season. Up front, the Chiefs, they do strengthen their side. Ta'avao is injured now. Mafaleo comes in. That's a strong replacement for them to join Ross. And then number 2 that they really missed, Takiao last week. They did miss his barnstorming runs all over the park. Number 2 also is a replacement for the Brumbies. Lenorgan, he starts again. His first start he had for the Brumbies was against the Reds in that final. He gets another start with Scott Seo and Alan Ala Alatoa, so alliteration gang continues again. Darcy Swain, Frost at number 4 and 5. That combination is just so strong. Continuing, Lord and Vai, both of them similar players. Vai, such a dangerous player. They will have to look out for that. A quick hands of his, he gets it offload through for the guys out wide as well. Henry Stowers, I've been impressed since he started playing for the Brumbies, the ex-Force player. Just such a hard player as well. Liam Messam, the veteran, also gets a start, his first start for the Chiefs since returning for them. Then Rory Scott at number 7. Boshia, the guy that you have to look out for at breakdown time. He can steal so many. And the important thing of him, he steals it at important times in the game. Valentini, probably the best number 8 in Australia at the moment. Probably one of the best loose forwards as well. He loves carrying it forward. And he busts a couple of guys as well. Jacobson at number 8. He will try to stop him there. Ryan and Organ, the number 2's brother. They are starting for the first time together. The guy with a missile for a boot against Brad Weber, the captain of the Chiefs. Damon McKenzie, he also not too shabby with his missile for a boot as well at number 10 versus Lolesio. Damon McKenzie and Brad Weber, when it comes to experience, both of those guys are almost at the century mark. So very experienced versus Lenorgan and Lolesio. Lolesio, he is good. He is a Wallaby. He's still young though. So Damon McKenzie might challenge him in this one. Though I think Lolesio will be able to stand up to it. Simone up against Nankiville. Both of them are hard runners. Both of them like challenging the line, getting gaps for the guys outside of them. Leonard Brown at number 13. Honestly, this season so far, he hasn't impressed too much. I think lately he looks like he's starting to get a bit of a spark again. Ikitau at number 13. Then a guy that really ran very hard last week, Carter at number 14. Look out for him. If he gets a ball, he's like a little cannonball running with it because it's difficult to tackle him. He's short and stocky. Right at number 11, he's a guy that just scores so many tries. Low at 11, and Sullivan Low almost scoring that try in that final as well against Crusaders. Tom Banks at number 15, always reliable, always stealing 5 meters or so when it comes to a penalty kick, but he's very reliable with that big boot of his as well. Chase Tiatia continues at number 15. That combination of 10, 15 with D-Mac and Tiatia, always dangerous when they feed off of each other, and look out for moves coming from there. The two benches are even in strength. Slater is on number 16 versus McInerney. So both of them more youngish hookers for the two teams. Norris and Molly. Molly, a big return for the Chiefs. It's his first game this year. He's been a bit injured for a while. Lloyd and Ross. Other big names to look out for. Suakula, he can bring intensity when he comes on the loose forward. Cusack, he's also back from his injury, so good for the Brumbies to have him back. Always a threat at breakdown time. Findsville Lawasa, he always improves a bit of a tempo when he comes on the number 9. Other guys to look out for, Trask, he's back from his injury for the Chiefs. So both benches probably not too strong. The two number 20s probably the two real guys to look out for, and then Molly for the Chiefs when it comes to scrum time. And scrum time is going to be important here for the Chiefs because the Brumbies build a lot of their game from scrum time. So getting to the prediction, the Brumbies did actually win the last game these two teams played in 2020. I do think the Brumbies can win this one. I'm going to go with the Brumbies to win this one by 5 points. Yes, it's a difficult, actually very difficult one because it is in Waikato. Last week the Brumbies looked like they could actually challenge for a victory as well. I do think they could maybe get it here, but either way, it's a difficult call. Just go whatever your gut tells you. The last game is a big one because it is the two finalists of the Aotearoa versus the AU finalists. It is the Crusaders versus the Reds. And this isn't the two teams that played last week. Last week, the Reds, they were not up to standard. The Crusaders, they got the win, but it was still not their best team. This week around, it's basically the two teams that played in the final. So it's basically the strongest teams you will find. The two front rows, number threes, are changed. Jaeger comes in for the Crusaders. So not probably their strongest number three. He joins George Bauer. They're going to have a tough task at scrum time because Xander and Tupou being back, they've been challenging a lot of teams at scrum time. A lot of people always call Tupou for scrumming in. You don't know. They are going to continue playing in Australia, which might be in their favour because he's been scrumming in front of Australian referees for the whole season. So they'll probably blow in his direction as well. Pahinga Amosa at number 2. He's had a couple of troubles at line-out time as well. This week he cannot afford that against a guy like Sam Whitelock. Cody Taylor, always a guy that impresses, always a guy that's a dangerous player on the park, a threat on the park when it comes to try time as well. Dunshear versus Ryan Smith. Sam Whitelock, the veteran, versus Salakai Alotto. Honestly, Salakai Alotto, he hasn't been in the best form in my opinion for the Reds. I was actually excited that Blythe got a bit of a start last week because he, to me, is a very dangerous player when it comes to challenging the maul of the opposition. Wetu Douglas comes in at number 6. Wright moves from number 7 to number 6 for the Reds, back to his normal position. And that's to make space for Fraser McWright. He's a breakdown king. He will challenge for it. He's up against Blackadder. If I had to pick the guy that will probably get more breakdown ball, there is McWright. He's so good at it. But Blackadder, he's been in good form as well. So that number 7 battle could be quite big. Then the number 8 battle is also a big one. It is two baby-faced number 8s, two youngsters as well for the two teams. Both of them play very similar. Carry the ball forward, tuck it under their arm and hit guys hard. And then give a pop to the guy next to them and give tries to them as well. So Harry Wilson versus Cullen Grace. Mitchell Drummond, the preferred number 9 so far for the Crusaders this season, comes back for the side up against McDermott. McDermott is always a threat. The Crusaders will have analysed him because if he gets a snipe through at the side of a breakdown or the side of a scrum, he can always get tries for himself or the guys next to him, usually himself by beating 4 defenders in front of him. Mahunga, talk about beating defenders, he's the guy to really look out for. Probably one of the best players in the world at the moment. He has to be in the reckoning for player of the year at the moment. We haven't seen internationals yet. James O'Connor at number 10, he's also been brilliant, probably one of the best in Australia as well. So that number 10 battle is also a huge one when they do go up against each other. I'm just happy Jock is playing this weekend. That concussion kind of did throw them off last week when he did go off early with their other injuries as well. David Avili, also a number 12 revelation this season. He makes so many tries for their team out wide. Stewart, he is a good defender, reads a lot of breakthroughs for the other team as well, so he can defend a lot of that. And talking about defensive prowess is Paisami. He's back from his injury, and he's one of those guys that love shooting up into the line for defense. Sometimes it doesn't work out for the best, but a lot of times it does get the team on the back foot. So I can expect Mahunga getting a couple of skip passes over Paisami. Let's see this week what happens. Eno, he's at number 13. That number 13 battle is a very interesting one. Two very dangerous number 13s. Sevu Reese, talk about it, a dangerous number 14 up against Vunivalu as well. Both of them dangerous, prolific try scorers. Vunivalu last week in the air scored 2 tries from cross kicks. One problem still with him, it does look like he is struggling a little bit still with the rules in the other code in rugby union. It looks like sometimes he gives a bit too many penalties away. Fainga Nuku at number 11 versus Campbell. Fainga Nuku, look out for him running over players. Luckily for the Reds, they have Vunivalu, who is a big defender as well in front of him. Will Jordan, put him down to score a couple of tries. Put him in your SuperBru fantasy side. That link is in the description if you want to get a couple of tries there. Hegarty at number 15 for the Reds. Guys, the two benches are also very strong for the two sides. A lot of these guys you might not know, but I think both of them are very strong. Murphy, I think he's still the best hooker for the Reds at the moment. Hoopert and Fatuahika, both of them have scrummed brilliantly so far this season for the Reds. The Crusaders, they have McAllister, and then the big name in the front row for them is Michael Alatoa. They want to close out this game with a strong scrum, and it might be the case. Fatuahika, he might have a big task ahead, but looking at that, Hoopert is going to be the one facing him this week. Strange at number 19, Uru. He's also a very busy live wire player when he comes on. Angus Scott Young, he deserves more starts as well. Last week, or most of the season, he has started, but now that Wright is back, he is on the bench. Havili Talatui, he's also started most games. Bryn Hall, him and Drummond, they're basically equal. Kalani Thomas, the youngster, Henry, and then Daigunu on the bench for the Reds. He can also score tries any day of the week. For the Crusaders, they have a McLeod and then Matele. Making a prediction here, guys, even though it is in Australia, I do not think you can just go against the Crusaders. If you do look at the history between these two teams, the Reds haven't beaten the Crusaders since 2011 on either sides of the Tasman. So I think the Crusaders are favourites here. Again, I do think they'll get a bit of a margin there at the end, maybe pull away from the 60th minute. I think the Crusaders to win this one by 10 points. Let me know your prediction down in comments below for all of the games. Check out these videos next to me. Hit the subscribe button if you do like the channel. And then I'll see you for the next one. Cheers.